This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, Central Otago has joined the billion-dollar space economy after a state-of-the-art space radar was unveiled this week. Tomorrow, South Dunedin's main drag is to be filled with the sound of music with the city's annual busking festival. And a southern knife maker is becoming world famous for the knives he's creating in a humble Omaka shed. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Central Otago has joined the billion-dollar space economy after a state-of-the-art space radar was unveiled this week. Californian company Leo Labs has built a radar on a Maniatoto farm near Naseby, which has the ability to track space debris as small as 2 centimetres.
Central Otago has officially joined New Zealand's growing space industry with the opening of a state-of-the-art space radar near Naseby. Built by Leo Labs, a company based in California, the radar will track space debris as small as 2 centimetres to help avoid collisions with orbiting satellites.
It turns out there's no radars of this type in the southern hemisphere anywhere. So when you look at space traffic safety, the collision predictions aren't very good over the southern hemisphere. This radar fixes that.
Maniatoto school pupils were told how the data collected will help satellites steer clear of space debris.
Right, a satellite operator needs to operate in the highways of space, and the obstacles in space are other space objects, and they're flying around at 8 kilometers per second, right, really fast. So what they do is they have little thrusters on their satellite, and they will maneuver their satellites to avoid running into things.
Fifth-generation Maniatoto farmer Phil Dowling says the radar, which is on his land, is causing a bit of a stir in the small community.
The locals find it quite interesting what's happening here. It's quite just an off-the-wall sort of a project really, to have a space radar in the middle of the Maniatoto.
The relationship with the local district council has been great and enabled us to build this radar. And we've been extremely honored to be welcomed onto the farm by the farmers Phil and Joe, and we're looking forward to a very long-term positive relationship with them.
Leo Labs technical officer Michael Nichols says Naseby is the perfect southern hemisphere location for the radar.
Beautiful landscape, you have the mountains in the background. We look for remote location with good internet, good infrastructure, good power, and it meets all those things. And mostly it's about the partnership with the local community. So we just had tremendous synergy with the owners of the property as well as the district council to make it possible.
The radar installation is operated remotely with no staff on site and is set to locate up to 95% of space junk that is not currently being tracked. In Naseby, The South Today.
The Connecting Dunedin Transport Partnership between the DCC, NZTA and the Otago Regional Council is looking at options to improve a Dunedin roading black spot. There have been 87 crashes at the junction of Great King Street and State Highway 1 since the year 2000, leaving 63 people with minor injuries and 5 with serious injuries. The Connecting Dunedin Transport Partnership says solutions could include a truck ramp for vehicles with brake failure, traffic lights, or even an overpass or even an underpass. The NZTA says a completed business case with a preferred option is expected to be ready halfway through 2020. Tomorrow, South Dunedin's main drag is to be filled with the sound of music with the city's annual busking festival. The event spawned from the South Dunedin Street Festival a few years back and is growing year on year.
Hoping for crowds like this and more. Organisers of tomorrow's South Dunedin Busking Festival are encouraging people to come and see some of the city's emerging and established talent.
So there's 9 stages across the King Edward Street and Lawn Street area. A mix of artists on all of them. Performers get to perform twice throughout the day. For those who are being judged, they get to be judged once for one of their performances. And it's about just the whole interaction with the audience, the crowd as they're gathering around, being the entertainer on the street.
Not all of the performers wanted to be judged. with some electing just to play for the public, with the hope of a few coins in the bucket or an encouraging word. Paul Allen's sentiments are shared by fellow organiser Nick Orbell, who says some past performers have gone on to bigger and brighter things.
A number of the performers, we collect all the performers' names and share it with other promoters. And a lot of people, as I say, people starting out, they've gone on to success with things like the Gold Guitars Awards, and also picking up contract work with some of the events and other events on in town.
Whereas the South Dunedin Street Festival closes the main street with vendors across the street and performers on fully powered stages, Orbell says tomorrow's busking festival is more of a street level event.
This was designed to be a light footprint, relatively easily organised event with 36 performers this year and a number of disappointed extras. It does take a wee bit of juggling.
Arranging to have 9 stages in and close to shop doorways can take a lot of gentle negotiation. South Dunedin Business Association's Craig Waterhouse says there's been great buy-in from businesses, with many choosing to sponsor prizes for the event.
We've had great support from the local businesses. All the prizes for the Busking Festival have all been sponsored by local businesses in South Dunedin. There's about 8 of them who have sponsored the prizes. Yep, it's been really good buy-in, very supportive.
The South Dunedin Busking Festival is set to kick off at 10 a.m. tomorrow, with performers across 9 stages until 2 p.m, which will be followed by a prize giving at the Gasworks Museum from 3. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A roller beam operated by Fulton Hogan in the Otago Peninsula Road widening project rolled into the harbour yesterday. Council staff contacted by the Otago Daily Times yesterday couldn't offer much information, except that no one was injured. The vehicle came to rest with its back wheels on the rock wall and its large front end submerged in the water. The workplace accident stopped work for a period of time, and it's understood neither police nor St John Ambulance were called to the scene. It's the third accident involving a Fulton Hogan vehicle at the site, following 2 earlier incidents which caused temporary closures in July. A southern knife maker is becoming world famous for the knives he's creating in a humble Omakau shed. Peter Lorimer has been making knives for about a decade, and several top New Zealand chefs are using his tools for their trade.
A career that's on point, taking knife making from Omakau to the world. Knife maker Peter Lorimer is on the cutting edge of his craft, so much so his work is in the hands of some great chefs, although he's a bit shy talking about it.
Don't really like doing that, but Peter Gordon was very good to me in the early days and helpful in promoting me, and Al Brown's really good at the moment. He's and as are a number of other chefs, Johnny Swass.
He says having top chefs using his knives is a huge compliment, and when the likes of UK celebrity chef Jamie Oliver uses them on TV, it tells him he's doing something right. Lorimer imports steel from Europe as a base for some of his knives.
Start with a German tool steel that I cut out, grind into a profile and then harden. I then braze on the brass piece, glue and handle material, either wood or bone, then finish that off all together and sand it, and polish it, sharpen it.
However, when he makes Damascus knives, a process of heating and folding steel hundreds of times, he can source steel from pretty much anywhere.
So I've got old New Zealand Railways train springs for the hard part, and for the soft part I can use wrought iron from anywhere. I've got some of the old Westport Wharf, I've got a bit of the mould from Dunedin, bits off there, and so I can introduce materials from places that mean something to people.
He says one of the main joys of making knives is knowing that people from all walks of life can take pleasure in the kitchen using a thing well made. In Central Otago, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. Records are broken in Oamaru's Blue Penguin colony at Cape Wambra, and we continue our talk with an international best-selling crime author, Val McDermott, so stay with us.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chin.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Step into Shop on Carroll and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
Welcome back. The number of breeding pairs at Oamaru's Blue Penguin Colony at Cape Wambra has eclipsed the previous record of 189 pairs. Oamaru Blue Penguin Colony Science and Environmental Manager Dr. Philippa Agnew weighs a 5-week-old little blue penguin chick at the Oamaru Creek Penguin Reserve. She says there are 195 breeding pairs at the Cape Wambra Colony. With 170 chicks at the Cape Wambra Colony, chick health could become an issue as parents struggle to find food and the turbid water close to their nests. But in the meantime, staff are delighted with the large number of breeding pairs and chicks this season. Best-selling crime author Val McDermott is visiting Dunedin for 2 months as part of her 3-year position at the University of Otago. Revered as Scotland's Queen of Crime, she is well known for her gruesome murder mysteries, which were made into a popular TV series.
Now a top-selling author of gruesome murder mysteries, Val McDermott originally grew up in a working-class Scottish family. After gaining a degree from Oxford University, the high flyer went on to work as a journalist, where she met people who would later inspire characters in her novels.
Yeah, when I was a very young journalist, I was sent off to interview Jimmy Savile, who was a DJ, and he also had a children's programme called Jim'll Fix It, where kids wrote in with their heart's desire, and his job was to make it happen for them. Unfortunately, he was also doing other things with children and young people that he most definitely shouldn't have been doing. And when I met him, I mean, I knew nothing of this, but I found him a deeply unpleasant man. There was a face that he had for the public, and as soon as it was just the two of us together, he became sort of bullying and unpleasant. And I came away from this thinking, this is a really unpleasant guy. And then later on, a few years later, I was working in the north of England. And over the years there, we had several people who came to us with stories of having been abused by Jimmy Savile. And the problem that we had was a lack of evidence. Savile was very litigious, and at the slightest hint that anyone was looking into him, would get cease and desist letters from his lawyer. And a lot of these people were also, because of the abuse they'd suffered, quite profoundly damaged. They were not people you'd want to put into the hurly-burly of the courtroom. And so there was a sort of tremendous sense of frustration, and it wasn't just in my office, it was throughout the journalistic community. The thing that kind of amused me in a sort of wry kind of way was that there were lots of parallels with my character Jacko Vance and Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile had this program called Savile's Travels. I had a show called Vance's Visits. Savile famously was a person who was very involved with hospitals. He'd go on hospital visit and sit by the bedsides of the dying. So I gave this trait to my character as well, and nobody noticed the parallels with Savile. My character was a television presenter and a former sporting hero. And people kept saying to me, "Is it so-and-so?" They come up with these television hosts. And I go like, no. And I think it was because I made the character handsome and charming that it didn't set off triggers in people's head. So it was only after he died that people started to put it together, when his crimes started to come to light.
The Jimmy Savile-inspired book, Wire and the Blood, became a bestseller and was adapted for television. Over the years, she's learned to become more relaxed about the accuracy of her works of fiction.
When I was starting out, I didn't know what kind of crime novel I was going to write, and at the time in the UK, cast mind back to the early 80s, there was really only police procedurals and village mysteries, and I felt a bit stuck because I did not grow up in a village like St Mary Mead. I grew up in Scottish mining villages, which are kind of different. And I didn't think I knew enough about the police to write about them. Eventually I found my niche, but years later I was talking about this with Colin Dexter, the creator of Inspector Morse, and I said, I didn't think I knew enough about police to write about them. And Colin just burst out laughing, and he said, "You just make it up, my dear. I had written 5 Inspector Morse novels before I'd set foot in a police station." And I just thought, I didn't think you could just make it up about the police. I thought if you got it wrong, they'd come and knock on your door and give you a bad time. But apparently you can just make it up. I've now got a series featuring Karen Pirrie, who's a Scottish cold case detective, and I invented the Historic Crimes Unit, and so I can do anything I want. Nobody can tell me I've got it wrong, because there is no such thing.
McDermott has recently taken up an appointment as visiting Professor of Scottish Studies and Crime Fiction at the University of Otago, and she says she's looking forward to getting some inspiration during her time here.
My ambitions for the future are essentially to carry on writing the best books I can. And the great joy of travel, coming to somewhere like Dunedin, is you meet different people with a different take on the world, and the wheels always start turning. And I'm sure that there are going to be useful projects coming out of visits to Dunedin and beyond in New Zealand. I don't think I'll set a whole novel here though, because being here for a couple of months at a time doesn't give you enough groundedness in the society. But I could maybe set something here of one of my characters visiting and looking at it with the eyes of an outsider.
In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, if you ever wanted to own a shopping mall, you may just be in luck, as a Dunedin mall is listed for sale. And we have the weekend's weather for you, so stay with us.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
When it's time to say goodbye to your pet, Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489 2274.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. We have new items arriving every day. Visit us for a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Miller's Flat Bakery, proudly opening this Labour weekend after a long labour of love. The Restoration Trust has brought back to life this historic part of the main Central Otago transport route. Come see the only wood-fired bakery oven in New Zealand. Turn off at the Miller's Flat Blue Bridge and bring the whole family to enjoy some tasty fresh baked goods the old-fashioned way, before electricity. That's the Miller's Flat Bakery, opening Labour weekend.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Thanks for staying with us. 3 prominent retail properties across New Zealand, including Dunedin's Meridian Mall, are up for sale in a deal which could exceed $350 million. The Dress Smart discount retail factory outlets and the Meridian have been listed for sale by Lendlease Real Estate Partners. In 2011, Lendlease bought the 4 shopping centres for a reported $197 million. Colliers International and CBRE are managing the sales campaign, although Dean Collins of Colliers Dunedin office wasn't able to speak to media. In a statement, the mall's owners Lendlease says the property has performed well for investors, but the fund was created to run for a fixed term, and that's triggered the sale process. The owners described the Meridian as the best shopping centre in the lower half of the South Island. 20 years of Zonta extraordinary fashion were celebrated in Dunedin last night. Raising over $20,000 for Plunket, the event attracted about 18 designers to have their spring and summer collections admired by a crowd of 400 people.
This is our 20th show. We've had an amazing night. We've had over 380 people here. Everyone's been having fun, great designs on the catwalk, great grand auction by Rob Fowler.
It's been such an amazing event for us. It's been so well run and we're really so pleased to be the recipient this year.
Post Plunket is our cause because they are just a really amazing organisation. So they will use the money. We hope to be able to give them about $24,000 for their maternal world child health service.
Plunket always has gone by the ethos of being the fence at the top of the cliff rather than the ambulance at the bottom, and this is just another way that we do that. We work with women before they get to a stage where they need that really intensive critical postnatal support. So we're really excited to be offering these antenatal classes here with this funding.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. Central Otago has joined the billion-dollar space economy after a state-of-the-art space radar was unveiled this week. Tomorrow, South Dunedin's main drag is to be filled with the sound of music with the city's annual busking festival, beginning at 10 a.m. And a southern knife maker is becoming world famous for the knives he's creating for famous chefs from a humble Omaka shed. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Barry Stewart. What have you got for us in the ODT?
Oh, there's a stack full of stories in the ODT tomorrow, of course, weekend edition, the mix, so lots of good reading. Otago Regional Council says it will have to hire 30 to 50 new staff for freshwater legislation. Now that will mean they'll have to house them and find office space, which has always been a discussion point with Otago Regional Council. Of course, as mentioned earlier in the bulletin, the for sale sign is up at Dunedin's most popular shopping mall, the Meridian Mall in George Street, so we'll have more details on that story on our business page tomorrow. Invercargill City Councillor is supporting the Oyster Festival Trust in its bid to have the demolition of the Club Hotel in Bluff. Sport, big sports section tomorrow, of course, all the action and reaction from the Rugby World Cup ahead of New Zealand's most important quarterfinal match against Ireland.
This is a decider match,
Saturday night, well, in or out, so yes, if they win, they stay there. If they lose, they're history. So fingers crossed for that one. We'll see how that develops. We also publish our big annual Summer of Cricket season preview, and we have special comment from cricket writer Adrian Ciccone, who talks about the Spark broadcast deal. In the weekend mix, we have an in-depth profile with the new Dunedin Mayor, Aaron Hawkins.
Great, so there's something for everyone in tomorrow's ODT. And you can catch that in the ODT tomorrow. And now it's time for a look at the weekend's weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view of life rushing by the Meridian Mall in a time-lapse video clip. Looking at the situation, a fine weekend ahead for most parts of the region as westerly airflow increases again. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport are set for grey skies, showers and 17 degrees. Across to the northeast, it's similar for Nelson and Blenheim, who can expect cloudy skies and showers with 22 degrees. Moving down to Canterbury, expect cloudy skies across this area. Kaikoura, you reach 17, Christchurch and Ashburton head for 18 degrees. Looking at what's in store for the southern towns, the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore can all expect moderate westerlies, a fine day with 16 degrees for you all. Travelling westwards to the Central Lakes region, you can plan for fresh moderate westerlies and fine weather. Wanaka reaches 17 degrees, Queenstown you're heading for 16, Alexandra should expect 18, while Tiana you're set to reach 15 degrees. Up to the northern towns, Timaru and Oamaru can expect variable winds, clear skies with 17 degrees for you both. It will be similar inland with Twizel and Omarama due for moderate westerlies and a fine day, looking at a high of 18 degrees. In Dunedin, rain clearing tonight and an overnight low of 8 degrees. Long sunny periods tomorrow morning, but cloud increasing during the afternoon, planned for a high of 16 and a low of 8. And it's mostly cloudy on Sunday with moderate northeasterlies, looking at a high of 18 and a low of 9. And in Invercargill, rain clearing tonight with an overnight low of 8. Fine tomorrow with a mix of sunny periods and some cloud with moderate westerlies. A high of 14 and a low of 8. Cloud increasing and showers developing on Sunday with fresh northerlies. A high of 16 and a low of 8. And that's all from the South Today team for this Friday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening and weekend. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.